The difference between success and failure often comes down to one simple truth. Activity is not accomplishment. Most folks mistake motion for progress. They fill their days with endless tasks, emails, meetings, and obligations. Their calendars are packed, their to-do lists overflow. Yet at day's end, they wonder why they haven't moved forward in life. Let me tell you a story from my early days. I was working hard, or so I thought. 12-hour days, 6 days a week, always in motion, always busy. My desk was covered with papers. My phone rang constantly. I looked the part of success with all my running around. One day, my mentor took me aside and asked me a simple question that changed everything. What did you actually accomplish this week that moved you toward your goal? I had plenty to say about what I did, but little to show for it. And that's when I realized the profound truth that I want to share with you today. Being busy is not the same as being productive. Most people spend their lives in constant motion, but make little progress. They confuse activity with achievement, motion with results. They're like hamsters on wheels, running fast, working up a sweat, but staying in the same place. This costs them dearly in lost time, missed opportunities, unfulfilled potential, and ultimately regret. What's the price of spending your life being busy instead of being productive? It's a life of frustration instead of fulfillment. It's working hard without the rewards. It's reaching the end of your days and wondering where the time went and what you have to show for it. The good news is that this pattern can be broken. You can transform your life by understanding one fundamental principle. It's not how much you do, but what you do and why you do it. That counts. The most successful people I've ever met aren't necessarily the ones who work the longest hours. They're the ones who work the smartest hours. They focus their time, energy, and resources on the few things that produce the greatest results. And you can do the same today. I want to help you make that shift from merely being busy to being truly productive, from spinning your wheels to making real progress, from wasting time on the wrong things to investing time in the right things. Let's start by understanding the real problem. Most of us have been taught that hard work is the path to success, and it is, but only if it's the right work. The problem isn't that we're not working hard enough, it's that we're working hard on the wrong things. In our modern world, busyness has become a badge of honor. When someone asks, "How are you?" what's the common response? Busy. We say it with a mix of complaint and pride, as if our overscheduled life somehow prove our importance or worth. But busyness is not a reliable measure of productivity, and it's certainly not a measure of effectiveness. Being busy means filling your time. Being productive means getting results. Being busy focuses on activities. Being productive focuses on outcomes. Being busy asks, what's next on my list? Being productive asks, what's most important right now? Here's what happens to most folks. They create never-ending to-do lists. They race from one task to another. They multitask, trying to do 3 things at once. They respond to every notification, email, and request that comes their way. And at the end of an exhausting day, they've checked off dozens of boxes, but haven't moved the needle on what truly matters. Let me share some common time waster that make us feel busy without making us productive. First, there's what I call reactive work. Spending your day responding to other people's priorities instead of focusing on your own. Every time you immediately check an email, answer a non-urgent call, or drop everything to handle a minor request, you're letting someone else control your time. Second, there's low-value work tasks that keep you occupied, but don't contribute much to your goals. This might include excessive organizing, unnecessary meetings over planning, or perfecting things that don't need perfection. Third, there's comfort work, activities you do because they're easy or familiar, not because they're important. Maybe you clean your desk instead of making those sales calls. Maybe you check social media instead of working on your book. Maybe you tinker with your website instead of reaching out to potential clients. Fourth, there's fake work activities that look and feel like productivity, but yield little benefit. This includes reading endless articles about how to do something instead of actually doing it, attending conferences without implementing what you learn, or reorganizing your files instead of using them to create value. The illusion of productivity is dangerous because it gives us a false sense of accomplishment. We feel tired at day's end and assume that means we've been productive, but exhaustion is not a reliable indicator of effectiveness. You can be exhausted from spinning your wheels in the mud. The key distinction is this: busyness is about time spent. Productivity is about results. Achieved busyness focuses on quantity. Productivity focuses on quality. Busyness asks how many tasks you completed. Productivity asks how much value you created. Shift from busy to productive. You need to understand what truly matters, what creates real value in your life and work. This requires a fundamental change in how you think about time. Time's not just money. Time is life itself. When you give your time to something, you're giving a portion of your life that you'll never get back. So the question becomes, what's worthy of your life? This is where most folks go wrong. They don't distinguish between activities of high value and activities of low value. They treat all tasks as equal, when in reality, some tasks are worth 100 times more than others. Have you heard of the 80/20 principle? It states that roughly 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. This principle appears everywhere in life. 80% of your happiness comes from 20% of your relationships. 80% of your income might come from 20% of your customers, or 20% of your efforts. 80% of your progress toward your goals comes from 20% of your activity. Your job is to identify that critical 20%, those high leverage activities that deliver the greatest return on your investment of time and energy. Let me give you a personal example. When I was building my business, I realized that certain activities produced far greater results than others. Speaking to groups of 50 or more people consistently generated more clients and sales than any other marketing activity. 1 hour spent speaking to the right audience was worth more than 20 hours of cold calling or sending mailers. Once I understood this, I reorganized my entire schedule to create more speaking opportunity. My income doubled in less than a year, while my working hours actually decreased. How do you identify your high-value activities? Ask yourself these questions. What activities have led to my biggest successes so far? If I could only work 2 hours per day, what would I absolutely have to get done? Question once you start: what tasks, if completed, would make everything else easier or unnecessary? What activities directly contribute to my most important goal? What work brings me the greatest financial return? What gives me the most satisfaction and sense of accomplishment? The answers to these questions will point you toward your high-value activities, the things that deserve the majority of your time and energy. Once you've identified these activities, you need to measure what matters. Most people track the wrong metrics. They count hours worked instead of results produced. They count tasks completed instead of goals achieved. They count emails sent instead of relationships built. Effective people track meaningful outcomes. A salesperson tracks sales closed, not calls made. A writer tracks quality, pages written, not time spent at the desk. A manager tracks team results, not meetings. Hell, when you focus on the right metrics, you naturally shift toward more productive work. You stop confusing motion with progress and start making genuine advance toward your goals. Now let's take an honest look at how you're actually spending your time. This requires courage, because most of us don't want to face the truth about our inefficiencies. But as I often say, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Start by tracking your time for at least a week. Record everything you do when you do it, and for how long? Be honest. No one's looking over your shoulder. At week's end, categorize your activities. Category 1, high-value work that directly advances your most important goal. Category 2, necessary work that supports your goals but doesn't directly advance them. Category 3, low-value work that contributes little to your goals. Category 4, no-value work that contributes nothing to your goals. Most people are shocked when they see how little time they spend in Category 1. Often, it's less than 2 hours per day. The rest goes to Categories 2, 3, and 4. supporting work, low value work, and no value work. Here are some signs. You are busy without being productive. You're constantly working, but rarely completing important projects. You feel exhausted, but can't point to significant accomplishments. And your to-do list never gets shorter. You spend most of your day reacting to emails, messages, and requests. You're always putting out fires. Instead of building something lasting, you work hard, but your bank account doesn't reflect it, to feel like you're treading water instead of swimming forward. You can't find time for what matters most to you. If several of these signs sound familiar, you're not alone. Most people live this way, but you don't have to be. Most people, the solution isn't working longer hours. The solution isn't moving faster. The solution is reallocating your time from lower value activities to higher value activities. It's about quality, not quantity. It's about effectiveness, not efficiency. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Focus first on effectiveness, then on efficiency. It's better to do the right thing inefficiently than to do the wrong thing. Let's build a value-based system for your time, a framework that ensures you're investing your hours wisely instead of merely spending them. The foundation of this system is a clear understanding of your priorities. Not everything that demands your attention deserves your attention. You need criteria for deciding what gets your time and what doesn't. Start with your life philosophy, your fundamental values and beliefs. What matters most to you: family, health, achievement, contribution, learning. Your priority should flow from these core values. When your daily activities align with your deepest values, you experience harmony. When they conflict, you experience stress and dissatisfaction. Next, establish clear goals in the major areas of your life: career, relationships, health, finances, personal growth, and contribution. These goals should be specific, measurable, and meaningful to you. They become the stars you navigate by when deciding how to spend your time from these goals. Identify the key projects that will move you toward them. A project is simply a multi-step endeavor with a clear outcome. Lose weight isn't a project. Complete a 12-week fitness program is make more money. Isn't a project. Launch a new product line by June is. Finally, break these projects into specific tasks, daily and weekly actions that advance your projects. These become the items on your to-do list. This hierarchy, values to goals, to projects, to tasks, ensures that your daily activities connect to your larger purpose. When you check items off your to-do list, you're not just completing random tasks, you're taking steps toward the life you want to create. Now let's talk about daily disciplines, those regular practices that keep you focused on what matters most. The most productive people I know follow these principles. They plan each day in advance, preferably the night before. They don't wake up wondering what to do. They wake up knowing exactly where to start. They tackle their most important task first, before checking email or social media. They give their best energy to their best opportunities. They work in focused blocks of time, typically 60, 90 minutes, followed by short breaks. They don't try to sprint a marathon difficulty. They batch similar tasks together, all calls at once, all emails at once, all creative work at once. This minimizes the mental costs of switching between different types of activities. They schedule time for thinking and planning. They know that stepping back to reflect and strategize is not a luxury, it's a necessity. They review their progress weekly, celebrating wins and learning from setbacks. They use this information to adjust their plans for the coming week. They say no to good opportunities so they can say yes to great ones. They understand that every yes is a no to something else. These disciplines aren't complicated, but they require consistent application. As I often say, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. It's the difference between what you want and what you get. The most important principle of time management is this: always work from a plan. Never start your day until it's finished on paper. A plan reduces the number of decisions you need to make, conserving your mental energy for what matters most. It keeps you focused on your priorities instead of reacting to whatever comes your way. Remember, discipline wastes ounces. Regret wastes tons. The small discomfort of following a disciplined routine is nothing compared to the heavy burden of knowing you wasted your time and potential. Now let's get practical. How do you implement these principles in your daily life? Let me share some specific steps you can take immediately. To shift from busy to productive first, redesign your morning routine. The first hour of your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Most people start their day reactively checking messages, responding to others' requests, catching up on news or social media. This puts them in a responsive rather than proactive mindset. Instead, start your day with purpose. Wake up a little earlier if necessary to give yourself UNR time. Begin with practices that center and energize you, perhaps reading, meditation, prayer, or exercise. Then review your goals and priorities for the day. Only after you've grounded yourself in what matters most should you open yourself to the world's demand. Next, implement a decision-making framework for how you spend your time when a new request or opportunity arises. Ask yourself, does this align with my values and goals? Is this the best use of my time right now? What will I have to say no to if I say yes to this? Will this matter a month from now? A year from now? If I had to pay $1,000, 0 cents per hour for my time, would I spend it on this? These questions help you evaluate opportunities more objectively, cutting through emotional reactions and social pressure. Another practical step is to eliminate low-value activities from your schedule. This requires courage because you'll likely face resistance, both from others and from your own habits. But remember, every minute spent on something of little value is a minute you can't spend on something of great value. Start by identifying your biggest time wasters. Is it excessive television, social media, pointless meetings, perfectionism on minor tasks, saying yes to commitments you don't really care about? Once you've identified these time wasters, create a plan to eliminate or drastically reduce them. For example, if social media is consuming hours of your day, delete the apps from your phone and allow yourself to check only once per day on your computer. If you're overcommitted to activities that don't serve your goals, practice the graceful art of saying no. I recommend a technique I call time blocking. Instead of reacting to whatever comes your way, proactively schedule blocks of time for your most important activity. For instance, you might block 8:10 a.m. for your most creative work, 10:11 a.m. for responding to messages, 11 a.m., 12 p.m. for meetings, and so on. Protect these blocks as you would any important appointment. Another powerful practice is the weekly review and planning session every Sunday evening. Take 30-60 minutes to review the past week and plan the coming one. What went well? What didn't? What did you learn? What needs to change? Then set clear priorities and schedule your key activities for the week ahead. This regular rhythm of reflection and planning keeps you on track and helps you course correct quickly when needed. Finally, create accountability for your use of time. Share your goals and commitments with someone who will hold you responsible. Report your progress regularly. The simple act of knowing you'll need to account for your time can dramatically increase your focus and productivity. Now let's address the psychological barriers that keep us busy instead of productive. These internal obstacles can be more challenging than any external circumstance. First, there's the fear of saying no. Many of us struggle to decline requests, even when they don't serve our goals. We worry about disappointing others, appearing selfish, or missing out on opportunity. But here's the truth. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you're saying no to something that does. You can't do everything, so you must choose what's most important. Learning to say no gracefully is a skill. You can say, that sounds like a great opportunity, but I've committed my time to other priorities right now. Or, I'm honored you thought of me, but I need to focus on my current projects. When you say no, respectfully and clearly, most people understand. Next, there's the addiction to busyness itself. Being constantly occupied can become a way of avoiding deeper issues, feelings of inadequacy, fear of failure, or uncertainty about what truly matters. Some people stay busy to feel important or to avoid facing difficult emotions or decisions. Breaking this addiction requires honesty. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding by keeping so busy? What would I have to face if I slowed down? The answers might be uncomfortable, but they're the pathway to a more meaningful and productive life. Another barrier is the satisfaction trap, confusing the temporary pleasure of checking items off a list with the deeper fulfillment of achieving meaningful goals. It feels good to complete tasks, even if they're not important tasks. This can lead us to fill our days with easy completions rather than meaningful challenges. True satisfaction comes not from busyness, but from significance. Knowing that your efforts matter, that you're making progress toward what's truly important to you. This requires patience and a longer-term perspective, looking beyond the immediate gratification of task completion to the lasting impact of your work. Finally, there's the approval trap, doing things to please others or meet external expectations rather than following your own priorities. This might mean taking on projects to impress colleagues, saying yes to social obligations out of guilt, or pursuing goals that others value, but you don't. Your time is too precious to live according to someone else's script. You need the courage to define success on your own terms and allocate your time accordingly. As I often say, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan, and guess what? They have planned for you. Not much. Overcoming these psychological barriers isn't easy, but it's essential for true productivity. It requires regular self-reflection, honesty about your motivations, and sometimes the willingness to disappoint others in order to be true to yourself and your priorities. Let's talk about the compound effect of right actions. Small daily choices, consistently made, create massive results over time. This principle applies powerfully to how you use your time. When you consistently invest your hours in high-value activities, instead of merely staying busy, the results compound like interest in a bank account. At first, the difference might seem negligible. Spending an extra hour per day on your most important project, instead of checking emails, might not show immediate results, but over weeks, months, and years, the gap between results becomes enormous. Consider two people with similar talents and opportunities. One spends most of their time being busy, responding to whatever comes their way, jumping from task to task, staying occupied, but not focused. The other spends most of their time being productive, concentrating on high-value activities, saying no to distractions, and making steady progress on meaningful goals. After a year, the difference might be noticeable. After 5 years, it will be remarkable. After 10 years, it will be astonishing. The productive person will have created valuable work, built important relationships, developed meaningful skills, and made significant progress toward their vision. The busy person will have checked thousands of items off countless to-do lists, but may have little of lasting value to show for their effort. I've seen this play out countless times with people I've mentored. Those who learn to focus on what matters most, who stop confusing activity with achievement, transform their results and their lives. They accomplish in months what used to take them years. They create more value while working fewer hours. They experience less stress and more satisfaction. The key is consistency. It's not about making the right choice once. It's about making it over and over again. It's about building habits and systems that naturally direct your time toward what matters most. It's about becoming the kind of person who instinctively distinguishes between busy work and productive work. And here's the good news. These changes build momentum. As you start to see the results of your focused efforts, you become more motivated to continue. As you experience the satisfaction of meaningful achievement, you become less tempted by the shallow rewards of mere busyness. As you develop a reputation for effectiveness rather than just activity, you attract better opportunities that align with your priorities. The compound effect works in your favor when you make the right small choices consistently, but it works against you when you make the wrong small choices consistently. Every time you say yes to something low value, you're strengthening the habit of distraction. Every time you let others dictate your priorities, you're reinforcing the pattern of reactivity. Every time you choose busy over productive, you're compounding missed opportunities. Let me challenge you starting today. Make one significant change in how you use your time. Just one. Perhaps it's guarding the first hour of your day for your most important work. Perhaps it's scheduling a weekly review and planning session. Perhaps it's eliminating your biggest time waster. Whatever it is, commit to it fully for the next 30 days. This single change, consistently applied, can be the first domino that transforms your relationship with time. Picture what your life could be if you stopped being merely busy and started being truly productive.